Older guy, younger woman, 7. Mistakes that kill attraction make her cringe. Ever wondered why some older guys effortlessly captivate younger women while others just make them cringe? It's a stark difference you've seen countless times. The silver-haired charmer with quiet confidence versus the try-hard who just doesn't get it. This isn't about looks, it's about presence, energy, and self-awareness. If you're an older man struggling to connect with younger women, chances are you're making one of 7 critical mistakes. The worst part? You might not even realize it. Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the raw, unfiltered truths about relationships that society often avoids. If you're seeking genuine insights that empower you, hit that subscribe button now. Today, we're tackling a fascinating, often misunderstood dynamic. Older men dating younger women. Specifically, we're exposing the 7 habits that instantly kill attraction and send her running. There's a subtle but powerful line between being an older man who turns heads with his gravitas and one who makes women inwardly recoil. You've definitely encountered both types. There's the mature man at the bar, radiating quiet confidence, effortlessly drawing younger women into his orbit with his wisdom and self-assurance. And then there's the other guy, the one who's trying too hard, oblivious that he's actively embarrassing himself and shutting down any potential connection. This isn't, and has never been, solely about physical appearance. It's profoundly about your presence, the energy you project, and your level of self-awareness. Because nothing repels a younger woman faster than an older man who attempts to perform what he thinks she wants rather than authentically owning the man he truly is. So, if you've ever found yourself wondering why younger women initially seem interested, only to quickly pull away and vanish, it's highly probable you're falling victim to one of these 7 common mistakes. The most painful truth, you might be completely unaware you're making them. Let's dive deep into these attraction killers. Habit 1. Trying to act young instead of owning your age. This is perhaps the quickest way to extinguish any spark of attraction. Nothing repels a younger woman more profoundly than an older man who is desperately, painfully clinging to his youth. You know the archetype. He's wearing sneakers clearly designed for teenagers, attempting to use slang that became outdated 5 years ago, and awkwardly referencing TikTok trends as if he's genuinely keeping pace with Gen Z, when in reality he's just regurgitating things he saw on a how to relate to younger people list. Here's the fundamental truth. You are not 25, and that is absolutely, unequivocally okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's your most significant advantage. Younger women who choose to date older men aren't doing so because they desire another version of a 25-year-old. They are seeking the very things younger guys, by definition, cannot provide: stability, profound life experience, emotional depth, and a clear, unwavering sense of self. When you desperately attempt to mimic youth, you inadvertently strip away the very qualities that make you uniquely attractive in the first place. Consider the visual. Imagine a man in his late 40s walking into a bar, wearing a backward baseball cap, an oversized hoodie that swamps him, and sneakers that likely cost more than his monthly rent. He's attempting to pepper his conversation with phrases like "no cap" or "it's giving." How does that truly come across? Not youthful, not cool, just undeniably off. There's a profound reason why iconic figures like Sean Connery commanded attention well into his 60s. He wasn't out there pretending to be in his 20s. He was unapologetically owning his age and making it look undeniably sophisticated and powerful. A man who gracefully embraces his age radiates respect. A man who frantically fights against it simply appears desperate and insecure. The right way to approach this is simple yet powerful. If you genuinely desire to be attractive as an older man, stop trying to be younger. Instead, focus on being better. Instead of chasing fleeting trends, cultivate a timeless sense of personal style. Instead of awkwardly adopting Gen Z slang, master the art of articulation. Well-chosen, thoughtfully spoken words resonate far more deeply than any trendy phrase. Instead of forcing yourself into spaces primarily occupied by younger people, cultivate your own rich, engaging world so that younger individuals are naturally drawn to you and your unique experiences. Because ultimately, women, especially younger women, aren't looking for a man who's still trying to figure himself out. They are searching for a man who knows exactly who he is, deeply and confidently. Habit 2. Flexing your money in a way that screams insecurity. Let's be unequivocally real. Money is, without a doubt, attractive. It's a powerful signal of success, capability, and the ability to provide stability. However, the exact moment you begin to blatantly flaunt your wealth, you immediately transform it into a potent repellent. Younger women don't inherently dislike that older men have financial resources. What they genuinely dislike is when older men mistakenly believe that money is the only thing they bring to the table in a relationship. There's a crucial, palpable difference between being a man who genuinely possesses wealth and a man who desperately uses his wealth to camouflage deep-seated insecurities. And trust me, women, with their intuitive radar, can detect that difference from a mile away. Consider how this plays out poorly in real life. Picture a guy in his late 40s on a date with a vibrant younger woman. Within the first 10 minutes, he's already name-dropping exorbitantly expensive restaurants, casually mentioning his luxury sports car, and pointing out the astronomical cost of his watch. She might nod and offer polite smiles, but internally she is completely, utterly turned off. Why? Because she's not perceiving a confident, successful man. Instead, she's seeing a man who is screaming, "Please, please let me impress you. My worth depends on your admiration of my possessions." A truly successful man, one who is genuinely secure in his achievements, feels absolutely no need to constantly prove his success to others. He allows his presence, his carefully curated lifestyle, and his profound self-assurance to speak volumes for themselves. A man who is rich but desperately needs everyone to know he is rich is, in a much deeper, more significant sense, far poorer than he truly realizes. Habit 3. Complaining about modern women like it's a personality trait. If there is one surefire way to make a younger woman lose interest instantly and irrevocably, it's encountering an older man who oozes bitterness and resentment about the current dating landscape. You know the type. He's perpetually lamenting how women today are so entitled, reminiscing about how back in my day women were different, and unequivocally declaring that social media has ruined absolutely everything. Listen, some of his observations might hold a grain of truth. The world, undeniably, has changed. But the precise moment you launch into a rant about these grievances, you immediately categorize yourself with the guy at the bar who endlessly screams about how music was undeniably better in the 80s. This doesn't make you sound wise or experienced. It makes you sound profoundly old, stuck, and irrelevant. Why is this so profoundly unattractive? When you constantly complain about modern women, you are inadvertently sending several loud and clear messages. You feel powerless in the current dating environment. You harbor unresolved resentment and bitterness. You are unwilling or unable to adapt. Instead, you simply blame external factors. And there is, quite frankly, nothing less attractive than a man who blames the world for his struggles instead of proactively figuring out how to thrive within it. Younger women don't inherently dislike older men, but they absolutely despise older men who behave like helpless victims of circumstance. Habit 4. Being overly possessive and controlling. There's a powerful adage that holds profound truth. The tighter you hold on to something, the faster it slips through your fingers. Nowhere is this more devastatingly accurate than in the delicate dynamics of relationships. Younger women do not inherently dislike older men, but they absolutely recoil from older men who treat them as if they are personal property. A truly confident man makes her feel cherished and desired. A possessive man makes her feel suffocated and trapped. And the most insidious part, most men who fall into this trap don't even realize the extent of their controlling behavior. Initially, these actions might masquerade as caring. Text me when you get there. Who are you going out with tonight? Are you really wearing that? But subtly, insidiously, this caring morphs into outright control. Why didn't you answer my call immediately? I don't like you hanging out with those particular friends. I just don't trust other guys around you. And just like that, what began as mutual attraction rapidly transforms into soul-crushing suffocation. Because here's the undeniable hard truth. No woman, especially a younger, independent one, desires to feel like she's living in a cage. Why do older men frequently fall into this destructive trap? Men aren't naturally controlling, but life experiences can warp some men into this behavior. By the time a man reaches his 40s or 50s, he has likely endured 1. A brutal, blindsiding breakup. 2. A woman leaving him for another, seemingly better man. Or 3. The palpable threat of younger, attractive men becoming his direct competition. So, what often happens? Instead of trusting in his own inherent worth and believing that he is enough, he begins to guard his woman like a precious possession. He mistakenly believes that if he constantly keeps an eye on her, she won't cheat. If he checks her phone, he'll always know the truth. If he tightly controls her world, she simply won't leave him. But here's the crushing realization he fails to grasp. He is actively killing attraction faster than virtually anything else. Because control doesn't compel a woman to stay, it fuels her innate desire to run, and to run as far and as fast as she possibly can. Habit 5. Talking down to her like she's a kid. One of the most egregious and common mistakes older men make is transitioning from being an attractive, experienced partner to a patronizing, condescending lecturer. This happens with alarming ease, often so subtly that they don't even notice the shift. They mistakenly assume that because they possess more life experience, they inherently have the right to constantly correct her, explain fundamental concepts, and dictate how the world really works. And guess what? Nothing, absolutely nothing, desiccates attraction faster than this dismissive behavior. Consider how this plays out in a real-life scenario. Imagine a vibrant young woman excitedly sharing something she's recently learned, perhaps a fascinating new book, an innovative business idea she's passionate about, or even a deeply cherished hobby. Now, observe how the wrong kind of man responds. "Oh, that's cute. You just figured that out, huh?" Or, "Yeah, I've known that for years. Trust me, you don't really get how that works yet." These remarks, though seemingly subtle, instantly kill any burgeoning attraction. Why? Because instead of engaging with her intellectually and validating her enthusiasm, he's actively belittling her intelligence and experience. Women, especially younger women, don't desire to be lectured. They crave to be heard, respected, and engaged with as equals. The psychology behind why this approach utterly fails is revealing. Older men sometimes mistakenly believe that their primary value in a relationship stems from being the wise teacher. While there's absolutely nothing wrong with sharing knowledge and experience, the manner in which you do it dictates everything. You have 2 stark choices. 1. Be the older man who inadvertently makes her feel unintelligent or naive. Or 2. Be the older man who genuinely inspires her, opens her mind, and empowers her. One approach will inevitably push her away. The other will profoundly draw her closer to you. Habit 6. Dressing like you've given up on life. Let's be brutally, unapologetically honest. Attraction is inherently visual. It matters not how intelligent, successful, or charismatic you might be. If you present yourself looking like you've just rolled out of bed and haven't put an ounce of effort into your appearance, you are already operating at a significant disadvantage. And tragically, far too many older men fall headfirst into this particular trap. Somewhere along the way, they simply stop caring about how they look. They rationalize this neglect by telling themselves, "I'm too old to dress stylishly now," or "I don't have anyone to impress anymore," or "If a woman truly likes me, she'll like me for who I am, regardless of my clothes." But here's the cold, hard truth. Women are psychologically wired to be attracted to men who demonstrate they care for themselves, men who put in effort. You are not required to dress like a 25-year-old social media influencer. You don't need to frantically chase every fleeting fashion trend. However, if your appearance suggests you've completely given up on personal grooming and presentation, she's simply not going to be attracted to you. Why does this common pitfall occur? Men, particularly as they age, sometimes develop a false sense of security. Perhaps they've been in a long-term relationship or marriage where they didn't have to try very hard to maintain attraction. Perhaps they've achieved a level of professional success where they mistakenly believe their status alone is sufficient. Or perhaps they've simply become too comfortable. But comfort, when it comes to attraction, is the ultimate enemy. When a woman observes a man who appears to exert minimal to no effort into his own appearance, her thought isn't, "Oh, he must be a profound, deep thinker who doesn't care about superficial material things." Instead, she intuitively thinks, if this is how little effort he puts into himself, how little effort is he going to put into me or our relationship? And once that thought takes root, it's virtually over. The crucial difference between old and distinguished lies here. Most men don't grasp that women genuinely appreciate older men, but they absolutely detest men who look like they've simply stopped trying. Consider figures like George Clooney, Idris Elba, or Pierce Brosnan. These men are clearly not young, but they embrace their age with an undeniable sense of style and grace. They don't attempt to look 20, they dress like men who profoundly respect themselves, their experience, and their position in life. And that, fundamentally, is the key: self-respect. Habit 7. Acting like you know everything. There is truly nothing worse and more immediately off-putting than a man who genuinely believes he is the smartest person in any given room. Older men often fall into this trap without even realizing its corrosive effect. They've lived longer, seen more, experienced more, and they incorrectly assume that this accumulation of life gives them an inherent right to constantly lecture younger women on every conceivable topic. But here's the vital distinction. Women don't desire a professor. They want a genuine partner. There's a very fine, often blurred line between exuding confident wisdom and descending into outright condescension. Let's imagine you're on a date. She's animatedly discussing something she's incredibly excited about. Perhaps a captivating book, an innovative new business idea, or even just a cherished hobby. Now, an truly attractive older man listens intently, engages thoughtfully with her passion, and genuinely encourages her enthusiasm. But the man who inadvertently sabotages the interaction does this. Actually, that's not exactly how it works, or you're too young to really understand this concept yet. Let me explain it to you the right way. In his own mind, he might genuinely believe he's being helpful or imparting valuable wisdom. But to her, he is unequivocally being condescending and dismissive. Why is this behavior so profoundly unattractive? When a man perpetually corrects a woman or consistently acts as if her thoughts and perspectives are inherently less valid than his own, it sends one message, loud and undeniably clear. I don't respect your mind, your intelligence, or your perspective. And absolutely no woman, regardless of her age, wants to feel that way within a relationship. There is absolutely nothing inherently wrong with being an older man dating a younger woman. In fact, when approached with genuine self-awareness, respect, and authenticity, such relationships can be incredibly exciting, deeply enriching, and profoundly fulfilling for both individuals involved. However, if you succumb to these common mistakes, if you act controlling, display deep insecurity, become condescending, or simply give up on maintaining yourself, you are deliberately setting yourself up for inevitable failure and heartbreak. You don't have to desperately cling to youth to be attractive. You simply need to be an authentic man who deeply values himself and his experience. A man who trusts her enough to give her space instead of suffocating her with possessiveness. A man who genuinely listens instead of constantly lecturing. A man who remains intellectually and physically sharp instead of letting himself go. Because when you truly embody these powerful traits, self-respect, confidence, genuine interest, and ongoing self-improvement, it matters little if you are 40, 50, or 60. Women, especially younger women, will be profoundly drawn to the magnetic presence you project